Imagine this, a brand new home sitting on half an acre with no HOA, no CDD, and nearly 2,000 square feet of living space to call your own right here in Marion Oaks, Ocala. This 4-bedroom, 3-bath, modern retreat is listed at just $340,000. From the open concept design to the luxury finishes, this is more than just a home. It's freedom, space, and style all wrapped into one stunning property. And it comes with a bonus flex space as well. And you also have this awesome lanai. Let's get started on this home tour. This is our first time meeting. My name is Joe Denny. I'm a Florida realtor and mortgage broker as well. I have a QR code on the screen with a VIP list, and it's also down in the description where you can just put your criteria, and I can have properties like this emailed directly to you the moment that they hit the market. So don't wait for these videos to come up, because by then some of these properties might be pending already, and you may not be ready for that phone call with a realtor or a mortgage broker yet. That's why the VIP list is super important, just to get the process started and getting properties sent to you right away. That way, whenever you're ready for the phone call with a realtor or a mortgage broker, or to talk about that home buying process, you would have seen all the nice, pretty homes like this online, and you would have saved a few of them already, so that we can actually go and put numbers and scenarios together on properties that you might actually like. First things that I want to show you guys that's just awesome about these properties out here on these oversized lots, we're talking half an acre, is the space between these houses. A lot of people are like, I don't want a cookie cutter home, which this is not cookie cutter at all, but I also don't want a home that's too close to the neighbors. So you look at something like this that has all this space, and you're able to breathe. You're able to let the kids run around, the pets run around, depending on, if you want a fence or not, you can put the fence there as well. If you want to put a pool in the back, you have so much freedom over here, and you don't have an HOA or no CDD either. This is gonna be your side profile view of your property right over here. We have 4 rooms in there, and then right when you walk into the right, by the living room, by the open area there, you're gonna have a flex space. So depending on what you do with that room, it's not gonna be like a 5th bedroom, but you can have kind of like 5 rooms situated in there, and you can create like a door to kind of cover it. And I'll show you guys what I mean in a moment. But you got this nice, massive driveway. Let's take a look outside first before we go inside. A common question I get is, how far do the property lines go? So most of the times the builders would put grass all the way to the end, but sometimes they just stop at a certain point, and more of this could be your property. The best way to figure it out is there should be a survey that's done which shows the property lines, and then when you're buying the house, that survey will be given to you, or if they don't have one, you have to order one so that you can kind of figure out where your property lines are. And sometimes when you're looking at these houses, you'll see like a flag, like a pole with like a flag on it, like an orange or a red flag. And this one, I'm not seeing it here. They might have removed it, but during the buying process, they'll put those poles out there to kind of show you where your property lines are. So this is the side. Also, this is the view around. So the sun, nothing's built over here yet. So you have no neighbors on this side, Nobody across the street, but you just have those neighbors going that way to the left of the house. All right, let's go right in. Start right at the front. So you're gonna have your little porch right over here, and you can kind of see that you get a little bit of shade, you still get the sun hitting you. So depending on the time of day, you can kind of hang out here and just enjoy the Florida weather on this porch. Now let's go inside the house. All right, so your primary is gonna be right over there. You're gonna have a bathroom here, another room there. So let's start right here. Bedroom number 1, and I brought my fancy measuring tool. It's going to be, this one's gonna be 11.14 by 11.26. This is the room that faces right outside of the house. So you'll see the front of the house from here. And then you have a little storage closet right here. This is the first bathroom. I really like how they took, the time to put something like this, and they didn't put like those tub inserts. And you have this beautiful window there. I don't know what that does for privacy, but it has some great natural light coming in through there. And then let's go right into your primary. Usually these primaries are tucked away at the end of the house, but in this floor plan, you have this one closer to the front of the house. We have 14.5 by 11.89. It's a very nice size walk-in closet. So for your walk-in closet, you're going to be at 5.59 by 10. So you already know me, if you watch my other videos, I would take that and create like a custom closet situation there. All right, let's talk about this bathroom. So you have this beautiful tub here, window right over there. Kind of see that you have the dual sink vanity, nice little light fixture there. Got the shower here. And you kind of see that it matched like the tile that's in the other bathroom as well. So there's like a uniform look throughout. I mean, the toilet's exposed, it's here. It's not like in a private spot with like a door or anything. But I mean, you can't win them all. This floor plan has a lot of bonuses that you can kind of like, bypass some of those things there. And in this room, in your primary, you're gonna have 2 windows over here facing the side of the house. Now, this is gonna be your living room. So you're gonna have your lanai right back here, access to your backyard. This is your lanai. It's gonna be, so you got 14.62 by 2.08. So that's gonna be like the dimensions of like your lanai out here. And I'm not too sure that they can build anything back over there. We'll get the drone up in the air and kind of get some aerial views for you guys, but we'll see. So if you made it this far in the video so far, consider subscribing to the channel. We're on our way to like 5,000 subscribers, and do the VIP list. That way you can get properties like this sent directly to you. All right, we have your kitchen with your island. Super clean kitchen. But check out this layout. So you got the kitchen, all the counter space, even tucked away over there. You have a nice little nook over there for counter space. Over here, you're gonna have tucked away a nice little area, probably like a dining area. I did notice you have a missing light bulb, so right away during the inspection, and another missing one right over here. What a lot of my clients like about me is how transparent I am, and I try to spot these issues, during these videos. I'm not just trying to sell you, I want you to have a good investment. This space excites me a lot. You have a flex space. You have a bonus room. It's open right now, but you can just add some doors to kind of close it off. We're working with 9.93 by 10.40. So drop a comment. Let me know what you would use this space for. It could be like a work from home space. It could be a It's kind of small to be like a gym, but maybe some workout equipment. And then how would you like close this off? That could be like a fifth room for somebody without a closet, so it won't be an official bedroom. But you're able to do something with this floor plan where you have like a fifth scenario there, which is pretty awesome. Over here, one of the largest pantries that I've seen at this price point. Nice little walk-in pantry and a very nice laundry room. So it goes all the way down there. Dimensions are gonna be 5.22 by 12. So very nice size laundry room. And you have like some space up here to put a few things when you're folding the clothes or something. You know, you could probably add a sink here, right here actually. You have the thing situated here for where the sink is. You can add the sink there whenever you want. Just go to Home Depot and find a sink of your choice. We are in your garage. So nice size garage. We're working with 22 by 20 by 9.7 from like floor to ceiling. So 2-car garage. You already saw the massive driveway out there. This is kind of that space I was telling you about earlier. I'll probably, in my house, have a bunch of devices lined up there, the cameras and everything, so nobody touches it. Or you can put like the coffee maker and stuff. Over here, that little nook that I was talking about. And then let's go to the final 2 rooms. So tucked away in the back over here, we're gonna have a room that is 11 by 10.8. Faces the back of the house, so you can kind of see the backyard there. That's your garage, or that's your closet, not garage. By the way, towards the end of the video, we're gonna go over all the numbers, a sample contract, the home buying process, who the top employers are in the area. So stay tuned. If you made it this far so far, stay to the end of the video because we're gonna go over a lot more things about the home buying process as well. All right. Okay, some storage there. Bathroom. And then we have your final room tucked away over here at the end, which is 11.25 by 11.16. I like these doors better for like the rooms, because for the smaller kids, I mean, they can still pinch their fingers, but like in those other doors, sometimes, you know, they can kind of like hurt themselves easily. And then you have your closet in here, nice size closet. We're working with 6.57 by 5.24. All right, we're back in the home studio and we are about to go over a few details. So let's hop right in to share my screen. Okay, so we are in Ocala, 34473, Marion Oaks. So you got schools, shopping, recreation, natural surroundings, convenient access to major roads, local greenwood, and Marion Oaks amenities. All right, we're gonna talk about numbers. We're gonna discuss the home buying process a little bit. But we're actually gonna just show you a sample contract to show you what it looks like to put an offer on a property. Some of the top employers in the area. So let's say you're looking for a job in the area. Some of the top employers are the Public Supermarkets, Advent Health Ocala, Walmart Distribution Center, City of Ocala Government, Marion County Public Schools, which by the way, they just built a new elementary school and they're putting a new high school there as well. I think it was called CCC. So you got more schooling coming to the area as more people, you know, arrive at the area and the area starts growing even more. The actual purchase price of the subject property is $340,000. So you're able to get this 4.3 with 1949 square feet with the bonus or flex space for $340,000. You know, there's not a lot of floor plans. This is like one of the 2 that I really like around this price point. There's another specific floor plan right around 1900 square feet as well, where you can get in the 350s, where you'll have like a 3rd-car garage. You won't have the flex space, but you'll have 2 primary bedrooms. So like 2 rooms with bathrooms inside and closets as well. So those are the top two floor plans that I kind of find in the mid 300s. This one, and because it has the bonus room, and the other one with the third car garage and the second primary suite. So 0.50 acre lot. When you see like the drone footage of this house and like when I walk around the property itself, this is a very nice size lot. You got half an acre there. Now, with property taxes, very controversial subject. If you've seen my past videos, I'm not a tax collector or licensed in any way with taxes or anything. So I would always recommend calling the Marion County tax collector or the property appraiser so they can give you more details on how the taxes work, the reassessments. But when you look on all those public facing websites like the Zillows, realtor.com, homes.com, even my website, the taxes that you're gonna see are on the land only, on the dirt only. So the assessed value of the dirt is what they're charging the taxes on. Now that there's a property there, once it gets sold and it gets recorded at public records, it takes a few months or so for the taxes to be recalibrated or reassessed, corrected to the correct amount. And oftentimes it's a sticker shock because basically the taxes go up. So if you're not ready for that, it could be a very big sticker shock when the time comes when it does happen. So if you work with a loan officer like me or a realtor like me who understands this, we'll do our best to escrow the correct amount at the beginning of the transaction so that when it's time to pay those taxes, the correct amount should come out. Now, homeowners insurance is just an estimate, about $100 a month. I have seen some come a little bit lower, about $800 for the year. And then we just got one recently where the property itself had also required flood insurance, not too far. It wasn't too close to this one, but it was like in the area somewhere where parts of the area have, I guess, flood insurance required. And that came out to like $1,600 for the year. So between $1,200 to $1,600, not a crazy amount. Mortgage insurance, if applicable, FHA and low down conventional options. When it comes to closing costs are the fees that you're gonna pay to buy the house. So there's lender fees, title fees, prorated taxes, prepaid interest, prepaying insurance. So I'm gonna show you what a sample contract looks like, and we'll go over like an example of like what some of the closing costs are. But as far as the number goes, I would estimate between 3 to 5%. Now, with these numbers that I'm gonna go over, you know, because the rates go up and down, we're gonna use these estimates here. A 5.75% VA loan rate, 6.68 FHA, 30-year fixed conventional, 6.70% rate. Now, in terms of a down payment and monthly payment, right? We're gonna also look at 30-year terms, taxes and insurance combining to be $510 a month, which is the estimate of the taxes and the estimate of the possible insurance. Mortgage insurance at 0.55%. Now, let's dive right into a VA loan option. So VA loan, 100% financing. So there's no money down for the down payment, but there's still money due for the closing costs. And some things people don't know when you're buying a house is, even if we were to get you the best program, the most concessions, there's still a certain number that needs to come out of your pocket, a statutory amount. So what happens is, there's always going to be an initial deposit. So I have a transaction now that we're trying to do with USDA, and we have like all sorts of programs involved in concessions, where even in that scenario where the buyer doesn't really have to come out of pocket at closing, because once all the credits are balanced in there, the out of pocket is going to be nothing. But there's always going to be an initial deposit when you're buying a house. There's also going to be a home inspection, which is out of pocket, and an appraisal that will happen. And if the property is on well water, you're also going to need a water test. So in the best case scenario, if we were to get a down payment program, concessions, USDA concessions, VA loan concessions, you're probably going to come out of pocket around still like at least $2,000 to $3,000, which isn't terrible for you to get the keys to your home and then, you know, start paying your mortgage. VA loan, you'd be sitting around $2,486 a month. FHA loan, super popular loan, 3.5% down, government-backed loan. A lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, loans were a minimum of 20% down. And a lot of banks didn't want to actually lend to anybody unless it was 20% down. So here comes along this company that thinks of this idea of like, what if there was an insurance that can cover the gap between like a certain amount the borrower may have and that 20% number. So because of mortgage insurance, it's possible that people can now buy homes with minimal to little down. So While mortgage insurance gets like a bad rep, like, oh my God, it's adding to my bill. It's the reason you're even able to buy a house in some scenarios, because not everybody can save up to 20%. When I bought my first house, I didn't have 20%. I barely made it. I had to go in my 401k to get some money. I needed concessions, and it was the works. But mortgage insurance is the reason why you're able to go below 20% down. That's why at 20% down, you're not going to have mortgage insurance because it's not needed at that point. Conventional 5% down, $17,000 down, you'll be around $27.45 a month. So you'll be floating in between like mid to high 2000s on this property. When you get to the 10% down, mid 2000s. At 20% down, now you're in the low 2000s. So 20% down will be around $68,000, and you'll be around $22.61 a month. Now, something that you may or may not know is that when you're buying a property with 20% down, you can do something called waiving escrows. And what that means is you can separate your taxes and insurance to be collected once a year instead of it being collected monthly with your mortgage. So if you want to cash flow better for like a rental property or something, you just pay the principal and interest, which in this scenario is about $17.51, and then the taxes and insurance, you just pay it once a year when they're due. Here's a home buying tip. So let's say you have a contract executed today and the closing date is September 19th. Well, depending on what day of the month you close, the closing costs can vary. So the later in the month that you close, your closing costs will be lower because there's less prepaid interest being collected for the remainder of the month. The earlier in the month that you close, the higher your closing costs will be because there's more prepaid interest collected. And let's say you close in September. For October, you won't have a mortgage payment. You don't skip a payment, but you skip a month. November will be your first mortgage payment. And in November's payment, you'll see the interest that's being collected for October. So you're kind of paying in arrears at that point, where at closing, you're kind of paying in advance. I don't know if that's confusing or not. It's kind of like how these phone companies sometimes do it in arrears or advance, but that's how it works. Depending on when you close in the month, your closing costs will vary, and then you can buy yourself a few extra weeks that way, where the next month you're not going to have a mortgage payment due. So that's kind of like what that looks like. I want to show you guys a sample contract, and then I want to show you guys like kind of like where we're at on the map, so you guys can kind of get an idea. So let's go right over here. So it's a sample contract. Now, this is like the most popular contract, the as is one that we use, the FAR bar contract. The bigger builders have their own contracts, so it's like a few more pages, well, a lot more pages, like 50 to 60, but we'll help you with those as well when the time comes. But usually the builders write those contracts for us, whereas with the traditional contracts, we're able to fill it out. Now, it's written by lawyers, but it's a template and there's spaces that we can just fill out. So we're not allowed to like legally write a contract from scratch. We have to use the approved forms from Florida realtors. So what happens is in this section here, we're gonna put who the parties are. That's the seller and the buyer. When you're buying a new construction, most of the time it's gonna be like a company that's gonna be up here, and then your name will show down here. In the property description, you're gonna be able to see the address, the county, the tax ID, and the legal description. This section here is gonna outline what's included with the property. Now, fun fact, if there's a washer and dryer included, we actually have to write it in here that there's a washer and dryer included. And also, not so fun fact, when there's something being excluded, it actually has to be written in the contract, or else everything's gonna break loose at closing. If a special chandelier, ceiling fan, refrigerator, Ring doorbell was supposed to be excluded, but everyone forgot to put in the contract that it's excluded, and then they pull it off, and then the buyer's like, raising, whatever, that will all be cleared up, or it could be cleared up sooner if it's all in writing what's being included or being excluded. So, and some common scenarios for that would be like a washer and dryer that a seller would leave. Now, that seller doesn't want to leave it, but it's there when you're seeing the house, but they're taking their washer and dryer with them. It would have to be in the contract saying that you're keeping the washer and dryer, or if something's not included, it will go here in the exclusion boxes. Now, this section outlines what offer you're going to give them and how much the initial deposit will be. So when you're buying a home, the initial deposit is anywhere between 1% or higher. So on a finance deal, 1% is customary. On a cash deal, 10% is customary. But when we have like down payment assistance programs, VA loans, USDA loans, Hometown Heroes, Chenoa, any of those scenarios where at closing you might not really come much out of pocket, we'll try our best to get the offer accepted with like less money, like $1,000. It's not guaranteed, but we'll try. And we have had a few scenarios recently where we got it accepted at $1,000. Now this section here is going to outline that if the offer is accepted, the initial deposit is due within 3 days. Now you don't send me any money or the seller, it goes to a title company. And in this section here, we're going to put who the title company the seller chose. Now, if you're financing, we're gonna put the percentage of how much is being financed in this section over here. So some common numbers in here would be 80% if you're putting 20% down, 90% if you're putting 10% down, 96.5% if you're doing an FHA, 3.5% down. So that will go there. And then you're gonna see what the balance to close is here, prepaids and prorations, excluding the closing costs. This is where we're gonna put how much time we want the seller to review our offer. And this is where we're gonna put potential closing dates here. You don't wanna put a weekend or a holiday for the closing date. You always wanna put like a business day. So I'll go down the contract slowly in case you wanna pause the video and read any of this. But if the home is being occupied after closing, this is the section that we would, basically put here. So it could be occupied by the seller or different scenarios. And if it is, we're gonna have to create a rider or add a rider or an addendum saying there's a post-closing occupancy by the seller. So fun fact, when you're selling a house with me, like I'm helping somebody sell a house now, we can structure your listing a certain way to try to get you to stay in your house a few days after closing or a week or so that while you're simultaneously trying to close on your next house, it will be a smooth process of like one move, not going to like a storage or a hotel. Because I've lined it up before where I've had a closing happen in the morning for the seller and that same seller becomes a buyer later in the day. But in order for them to sell in the morning, they had to clear their house so that the loan was clear to close. The buyer had to do a walkthrough on their house, and it was a whole mess where stuff had to go in a moving truck and be held for the day or for 2 days or something, and everything had to be moved. That was years ago. Now I'm much more well versed on these scenarios, and it's all about preparation up front and transparency. When you put the listing up and you put the right remarks in there and say, my seller is selling to buy. So no matter what your offer is, no matter what we agree on, we need a few days up to a week after closing, post-closing, to basically move everything out. And that's when you have to kind of like negotiate also and tell the future buyer, and we will pay you $1,000 for occupying your house for that week or something like that. There has to be like a negotiation, you know what I mean? This is the section about assignability. Now this next section is gonna be where we're gonna introduce one of the first contingencies. So financing contingency. If it's cash, we just click this box here. If it's financing, we click this box here. Now I want you to pause the video and read this carefully, because failure to use good faith and diligent effort to obtain loan approval during the loan approval period shall be considered a default. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot protect your deposit if you just withhold information from me or the lender or anyone involved or whatever when they're all trying to help you get into a house. And there's a lot of scenarios that have happened that allow that consider the buyer defaulting, and scenarios that are not good at all. So I'll keep moving down. Closing costs, fees, and charges. This section is going to outline what type of closing costs you will pay as a seller. And by the way, if you're looking to sell a home, reach out to me directly and I can get you like your own estimate of all the fees that it would cost. And these are the costs to be paid as a buyer. So when you think about numbers, estimate about 3 to 4% on the buyer side. But on the seller side, estimate anywhere between 5 to 8%, because part of the fees on the seller side, as of the time of this video, is also the commissions. So the sellers have to pay sometimes, most of the time, more money to sell the house than the buyer has to pay to buy the house as far as closing costs goes. This is going to outline information about title evidence. And then over here, it's going to outline that we're going to designate the seller. The seller shall choose the closing agent, and the seller is going to pay for the owner's policy. So there's an insurance that's put on your property called title insurance or owner's policy, where if something comes up on the paperwork later on after you close that happened before you close, you'll just file a claim against like the title through the title, owner's policy. And in the areas that I sell homes in, the seller pays those fees. But down there, like in South Florida, it's a different game. The buyers get to choose their own title company and the buyers have to pay those fees. So in South Florida, buyers pay a few more fees than up here, like in Central and North Florida. So this is gonna outline survey, home warranty, anything with special assessments, and then more disclosures here as I scroll down slowly. The next contingency, one of the most important ones, pause the video and read it, is the property inspection right to cancel period. These are brand new homes, but they're man-made. So you wanna, verify that the work was done right. And although you're gonna have warranties and all that, who wants to chase a warranty claim later? That's, just crazy. So you wanna get a thorough inspection. Find your own inspector, don't ask me for one. I mean, I got recommendations, but you want this process to be as unbiased as possible. So I would say find your own inspector and let me know who you find, and then look for good reviews, obviously, and then I'll coordinate with them access to the property. We'll put a number here. Usually it's like 7. So they'll go like in a day or two of the contract being executed. They'll do their thing for like 2 or 3 hours, give you the report, which is like 40 to 50 pages long with a bunch of issues. I've never seen a house, not even a new construction house, that doesn't have findings. So we got to figure out like what's cosmetic, what you can live with, and what's absolutely a deal breaker. So that's, where we get to do that all within the 7 days. And then you'll have walkthrough inspection as far as re-inspections as well. And this is more information here about closing out of building permits. And then I'll keep scrolling down slowly in case you guys want to pause the video. This section here is going to outline what happens with default and dispute resolution. So if you do something wrong, the seller does something wrong, how the dispute's going to happen, the attorney fees and costs. And this is a standards for real estate transaction as well in this next section here. One of the things that's going to be brought up here in the standards is how time is calculated on the contract. So time is of the essence, and the day that the contract is executed is day 0 and the next day is day 1. Some people don't know that. And that could make a difference based on like when the last day of the inspection is or the last day of a contingency. So it does matter if your realtor knows how time is calculated on these contracts. Now, we're gonna go down to the section where we're gonna cover some of the addenda, which are just documents that we add to the contract to add additional terms. So I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not allowed to just create a document and say, here you go, add this to the contract. We have to stay within the templates of these addenda here, or an addendum. And these are some of the common ones that I use. FHA, VA financing. So we'll use that one as if it's an FHA or VA loan. An appraisal contingency. I mean, I think the house is worth it. The seller thinks the house is worth it. But what if, in 2 weeks, a sale happens down the street, which lowers the values of all the properties in the area? You want to make sure that there's a contingency in place to protect your deposit so we can renegotiate if we have like an appraisal issue. Because in this market, we're not about to overpay for a house. But back when it was I think 2020, 2021, where houses were like going over, it was a whole different jungle. It was like we had to waive appraisal contingencies, offer over asking. We had escalation addendums that said, I want to offer you $220. I do not want to lose the house under $250, and I will go up $1,000 to beat out any other offer, but you got to prove to me somebody offered more. We were doing the craziest things to get offers accepted, and then you had to also write, plus I guarantee the number above the appraisal in cash at closing, because the banks weren't going to lend it. You were forcing the value up. And now values have stabilized a lot in the last few years. And I think it's thanks to the rates being so high. So everything's stabilizing now and, going down. Some people say it's going down, but I'm saying it's like stabilizing to where the values should normally be. So some of the other ones on here are pre-closing occupancy. In a home that a seller lives in, it's much more likely, well, not if they live in it, but I've seen it where pre-closing occupancies are agreed on when there's an actual owner that's not like a builder or a developer. But when it's like a builder or a developer, they want to stay free of that liability. They don't want you moving in before closing. Post-closing occupancy, so like if the seller needs to stay like a few days post-closing, if you're selling a home, the sale of the buyer's property contingency is right there. That would also keep your deposit safe. And then over here is going to outline some of the compensation agreements so that the seller can pay me my commission to help you as the buyer's agent. So over here in additional terms, they don't want us writing a bunch of vague things, so we're very limited on what we can write here. But the most common use that I have of this additional terms is when we're asking for like closing costs. So when you ask for closing cost assistance, it's basically asking the seller to help you pay some of your fees at closing. And the way that we do it is we'll write something here like all parties agree that the seller will contribute $10,000 towards buyer's closing costs and prepaids. Or all parties agree that the seller will contribute 3% of the contract price towards the buyer's closing costs and prepaids. So that's gonna be pretty much how that works. So that's gonna be a sample contract there. Now I wanna show you guys a map of where we are located. And some of those realtors out there won't even show you the address to these beautiful homes. Here's the address, 17501 Southwest 41st Circle, Marion Oaks, 34473. So it's not too far from that Dollar General market right there. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see. It's right here in the south of Marion Oaks, well, it's southwest Ocala, but it's to the south of Marion Oaks down here. You can kind of see, we zoom out a little bit. You got Liberty Triangle here, you got Bellevue over here, Wildwood down here. Over there, you're gonna have Citrus Springs on the left, Denellen as well. And then up here, you're gonna have like Silver Springs, Ocala Estates, Rainbow Park. Now, let's talk about where we're at, and let's figure out some points of interest just to kind of show you guys what's going on around here. So if we were to start here, and we were to say, show me where the closest airport is. So let's start with Orlando. 1 hour and 15 minutes, almost an hour. Like, that's not even that far. People tell me, oh my God, Ocala's so far. And then when you realize we're like an hour away from Orlando, then they're like, oh, it's not that far. So 1 hour and 15 minutes there. Let's say we're going to Tampa Airport. We're a little bit further out, 1 hour and a half. Gainesville Airport, we got about an hour and 5 minutes. So an hour and 5, hour 15, hour 30, depending on which direction you want to go. Let's see what beaches are available. So I guess there's a park here that's like a access to the water. Pine Island. So I'm not sure if there's access to water there, but that says an hour and a half. But let's see Daytona Beach. About 2 hours there. Clearwater Beach is about 2 hours away. So depending on what beach you want to go to, you're about 2 hours away, which could be a plus because then during like hurricane season and stuff, you're not that close to the water. So some people like that. Let's see how far grocery is. Okay, within 4.8 miles, you're at the Aldi, which used to be a Winn-Dixie. And right there where that's at, they have this awesome Dominican food truck that I got some food from. And they also got a Puerto Rican restaurant, Old San Juan. They also got like a New York style pizza shop on this same strip right over here. So they got some good stuff going on, some Chinese food right there. So when I used to live in Marion Oaks, like probably like 10 years ago or so, I used to eat at those restaurants that were right there. And then there's like a Pizza Hut around here somewhere as well. So that's gonna be about 10 minutes there. Now there's a Walmart also not too far away. So the Walmart is gonna be near State Road 200. So this is the house right here. You're gonna be about 17 minutes away. And then I think they put a new Publix somewhere around there. No, that's not the closest Publix. There's another one closer that's, that's not like 14 miles away. All right, so let's see how far movie theaters are. You have two options. You have the Regal, which is 26 minutes away. And then you have Epic Theaters, which is around 26 minutes away. They're right next to each other. Like they're on like, almost like on the same strip. So if a movie's not playing at one time in one theater, it could be playing in the other theater. So you're about like less than 30 minutes away. Let's see hospital. So we have one about 19 minutes away, HCA Florida Hospital there. Now, let's say you want to go to like a Target or something. Right down the street, once you get there in about 30 minutes, on this entire strip, you're gonna have Target, the multiple movie theaters, the Crumble Cookie, the Chuck E. Cheese, the Sky Zone, so many different restaurants. So this is gonna be like the strip. So like if you wanna do anything, you go down there and you got everything going on over there. You got the farmers markets down there, Market Street at Heathbrook. There's so many things going on over there. Let's say you wanna go to Orlando for some theme parks. We are about an an hour and 12 minutes away. SeaWorld is not too far from Universal. So about an hour and a half, you'll be at the theme park. So 3-hour round trip. Let's say you want to go to Disney. We are about an hour and 10 minutes. It's not bad at all. Hour and 10 minutes. Let's say you want to go further out, go to Legoland, you're about 2 hours away. So that pretty much shows you like the distance of like where like a lot of important things are. Well, I wouldn't say important, but what a lot of people ask me for, like they say, how far are the parks? How far are the beaches? How far is the grocery? How far is the hospital, the movie theaters, the airports? That's a collection of like what most people have historically asked me. And if you have an important point of interest that you want me to put in my future videos as well, that might make more sense, like specific gyms, coffee shops, I don't mind adding that to my list. So when I do future property analysis videos like this, I can also try to find those points of interest. Just put it down in the comments. But that's pretty much it. That's the end of this video. Thank you guys for tuning in till the end. I'm trying to make these videos shorter. Some of them are lasting an hour long because of all the talking that I'm doing, but I'm getting so much positive feedback. I'm getting like over 1,000 something views, and like only like 3% of people are staying to the end. But that's like 30 people that are literally watching the whole thing from start to finish, and they're calling me saying, hey, there's not been another realtor that's as transparent as you, that breaks things down the way that you do. So keep doing that. So although I do get tired of talking, and there's no way I could do 2 videos in one day anymore, I used to do like 3 a day, I'm putting more quality into them. And I know you see that. So drop a like on the video if you made it this far. And if you guys need help buying a house, you got the QR codes, the VIP list, just reach out to me. I can also help you with the mortgages. I'll see you guys on the next one.